everybody, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Letty. Happy 2025, and in this video we're going to be doing our December reading wrap-up. I read 8 books in December, which I think the holiday season is actually really good. Sorry, getting over a cold, so please forgive any coughing, but without further ado, let's get into it. So the first book that I finished in December was A Song Unheard by Roseanna in White. And I had reread the first book in the series in November because some of the characters in it were mentioned in White's newest book. And so then I just went on and I reread the second book in the series, and I finished it at the very beginning of December, which this is, you know, of course she's one of my favorite authors, and this is one of my favorite series of hers, so this book is 5 stars for me. So the next book was also a Roseanna in White, and it's her newest. It's, well, I guess technically it's not her newest because, yeah, this one came out in December, and the third book in her Imposter series came out in November. Did I say September? This came out in September. I don't know what month I said, but it was September. So yeah, so technically this is her second newest book, but it is a Christmas novella, so I waited for December to read it. This is Christmas at Plum Manor. It has really hardcore Nutcracker vibes, which was fun to read. Sorry. Especially since I had my Nutcracker Christmas readathon this month, so having a novella with Nutcracker vibes was a lot of fun. And I gave this one 4 stars. It was really cute, really sweet. I don't know why I didn't give it 5 stars, other than the fact that I think I just have a little bit of a prejudice against novellas. Like, I just always want more. Like, I always feel like they could be fleshed out into a bigger story, and I felt that way with this one, which is not its fault because it's meant to be a novella. It's meant to be short. But yeah, whenever I read a novella, I always just find myself wishing that it was more fleshed out into a bigger story. So maybe I'm just not a novella person. But yeah, I gave this one 4 stars, and I really enjoyed it. And as a fun Christmas read, I definitely recommend it. Excuse me. So the next book that I read was Potts, What It Is. I forget the whole tagline. And that was by Ussher. And this is a book that my mom bought and asked me to read because I have dysautonomia, and POTS is like it's a subcategory of dysautonomia, so it's not the only form of dysautonomia I have, but I have POTS. And so my mom picked up this book and she was like, "Can you read this?" And she has it now because she's reading it after me. But yeah, I gave it 3 stars. It's basically like a doctoral thesis on this man's hypothesis of where the origin of POTS is, because most doctors don't know what causes it, like where its root is, and they all have different guesses. Like it's kind of confusing. But anyway, so this guy, I don't think he's a doctor, but he has his own hypothesis on where POTS comes from, and this little book of his is basically his thesis, giving evidence to the fact of why he believes POTS originates here, and if it does, then maybe doing such and such A, B, and C can help cure it, because right now there is no cure for POTS. So yeah, and I gave it 3 stars because, I mean, it read like a doctoral thesis. It was so dry and also so like cerebral. Like, I feel like I understood the gist of what he was saying, but like the finer details just went way over my head because I am not a medical person. But I did understand the gist of what he's saying, and honestly it made a lot of sense to me. I'm kind of inclined to believe it, even though it hasn't been proven, because like none of this has been proven. It's all just educated guesses, but I mean, I think that his stuff made a lot of sense. So yeah, I'm inclined to believe him, even if though it's not proven. My mom does have a background in medical. She is a retired nurse, and she is reading the book now, so hopefully she can help me understand some of the finer points of his argument, because all the deep details were just like, did not understand it. And that's why I gave it 5 stars, because it was just really, really cerebral and dry, and would probably make much more sense to somebody in the medical field rather than just me. But anyway, so the next book that I read was Waiting for Gilbert by Tasha Hackett. This is another Christmas book. It's the first book in the Holidays in Hadley Springs series, and it's new. It just recently came out. I think it's independently published. So Tasha Hackett had a guest spot on one of the author blogs that I follow, and she was talking about this new book, her new book, which is kind of like Anne of Green Gables inspired. Like, the main girl, her name is Cordelia, which if you've read Anne of Green Gables, you know that's the name Anne wishes she had, because she thinks that the name Anne is so plain and she wishes she had been born a Cordelia. And so this girl, she's got red, wild hair. Her name is Cordelia. She grew up on the Anne of Green Gables books, and she is waiting for her Gilbert Blythe. And then she moves to the town that her sister lives in quite suddenly, and she is trying to like change her life. She's like, crazy Anne is out, I'm gonna be more like Marilla, I'm gonna be more serious. And she meets a guy literally named Gilbert. And so I was and then they have a holiday romance, obviously. So I was really excited for this book. I thought it looked really cute, but I ended up not liking it, I have to admit. I gave it 3 stars. I almost gave it 2 stars because these two flirted like teenagers. I mean, they're both like almost 30 years old. Like, I'm pretty sure Gilbert, he like turns 30 in this book, or he's about to turn 30. Like, they talk about his 30th birthday party at some point, and she's like really close to his age. So they're both like almost 30, but they flirt like they're like 14. Like, they're poking each other. They're like throwing M&Ms at each other. Like, literally the moment he meets her, he's throwing M&Ms at her. And this is a little bit of spoiler, but like at one point he's like leaning back in his chair, and she just like playfully shoves him over, so he like falls on the ground, and then they're like half wrestling on the ground. And this is after knowing each other for like solid 2 days. Like, that's it, like 48 hours, and they're like play wrestling on the ground and poking each other. And I was just honestly a little uncomfortable. Like, I just felt like, why are they flirting like they're in 8th grade when they're like adults? Like, and this is literally after knowing each other for 2 days this is happening, and I was like, I don't know, it makes me a little uncomfortable. Like, I'm not here for it. I don't feel like, yeah, it made me a little uncomfortable. So I was very close to giving it 2 stars, but I ended up giving it 3 stars because the main girl in the book, Cordelia, she has a neurodivergent, what would you call it? What's the right term for it? I don't feel like disorder is the right term, but like condition. She has a neurodivergent condition, which apparently, I was reading the author's note, apparently the author also has this neurodivergent condition, so she really kind of wrote herself into this character. And at first, it wasn't like obvious to me at first. Like, in the first part of the book, like, I questioned a lot, like, why is the character acting this way? Why is she doing these things? Not just with the flirting, which I felt was childish, I'm sorry, but like just in her actions overall. And then as the book went on and it kind of revealed more of her struggles, and she figured out what was going on with herself and was like able to sort that out, I just felt like that was an authentic portrayal, I would guess. Like, I don't know what it's like to have that neurodivergent condition, but judging by the fact that the author has it and that she kind of wrote this into the main character, I was like, okay, so we're seeing this character learn more about herself and her own condition that she did not realize she had. And so that bumped it up a star for me because I felt like it was an authentic portrayal of a neurodivergent condition. But yeah, the flirting and the way that they acted with each other romantically, I really did not appreciate. I'm sorry. And you know what? Somebody else may love this book, and that's great. The beautiful thing about reading is that it is so subjective, and what I like, you may not like. What I don't like, you may love, and that is awesome. That's why we have such a variety of books, so that there can be something for everyone. This was not for me, I'm sorry to say, but hopefully it is for you. So the next book that I read was Cloaked in Beauty by Karen Witemeyer. It is her new December release. This is the third book in her Texas Ever After series, and it is a mixture of this whole series she's retelling fairy tales, and this one is a mixture of Little Red Riding Hood and Sleeping Beauty. And it was so good. I gave it 5 stars. I absolutely adored it. The main guy, his name is Philip, which of course Prince Philip from Sleeping Beauty. He happens to be my favorite Disney prince. That was fun. He is a Pinkerton agent in this book, and he is helping escort Scarlet Radcliffe. She's been in hiding from her uncle almost her whole life, but now she is turning 21, so he's escorting her back to her home in Houston so that she can claim her inheritance. And she has a pet wolf, which is really fun, and she wears a red hood, obviously. So yeah, this book was really fun. I loved it. I gave it 5 stars. It made it onto my top 10 of 2024 list. Spoiler alert if you haven't seen that video yet, but it's been up here a couple days, so hopefully you have. But the one thing I will say about this book is that her name is Scarlet, but she goes by Letty, which is my name. And my name is pretty uncommon these days, so I don't really see it in the media, like in books or TV shows that much. I mean, you have that one character in like the Fast and Furious movies that has my name, but that's like it. I very rarely see my name in books, and the few occasions it has been, they've been like really minor side characters. So to see a main character, a protagonist with my name, I have to admit, was a little weird. Because she goes by Letty in this book way more than she goes by Scarlet. And so, like, as I was reading, it was like, Letty did this, and Letty did that, and Letty did this. And I was like, this is weird. Like, I don't know if I like it. I don't know if I like having my name as the main character that I'm reading about. But I don't know. Is there anybody out there that has names that show up a lot in books? Let me know. How do you feel about it? It just kind of weirded me out a little, I'll admit. But I still absolutely love the book, and it didn't make it into my top 10 of 2024. It was really good. Excuse me. So, I also read Mistletoe Season, which is, it is a compilation of 3 short Christmas stories. And I actually only read one in here. I read Pepper Basham's story, which is A Mistletoe Prince. And it goes along with like the Edgewood series that she did. It revolves around Luke and Penelope's cousin. Their cousin, who has a lovely name that I cannot remember at the moment. And then the guy in the book is a prince from Skymar. His name is Aaron. He is the brother of the main girl in Loyally Luke. So yeah, I read that short story. It was super fun. I really enjoyed it. I gave it 5 stars. Yeah. I would classify this short story a little more as clean than Christian. I mean, like, the characters do go to church, but since it's a short story, you don't really have that much spiritual content in this story. So to me, it kind of classifies more as clean, but that's fine. I still read it. I still absolutely loved it. I still gave it 5 stars. So that was A Mistletoe Prince, which is in Mistletoe Season. And then I finished another nonfiction, which is Practicing the Way by John Mark Comer. And I absolutely adored this book. I started this book like a couple months ago. It's been taking me a while to get through it, but I did finally get it done at the end of December. I didn't think I was going to finish it, but then I ended up finishing it, and I absolutely loved it. It had a huge impact on me, and I will say it's one of the best books that I read in 2024. It's not on my like top 10 list because my top 10 list is for fiction, and I just feel like they're just completely different grading rubrics in my opinion, so I don't mix fiction and nonfiction on my like top 10 list. But it is one of the best books I read, and it made a really big impact on me, and yeah, I would definitely recommend it as a good book. And then finally, the last book that I read in December was The Cryptographer's Dilemma by Johnnie Alexander, And I've had this book in my Kindle library for many, many months, and I keep meaning to get to it, and I finally got to it in December. It is about a World War II cryptographer, a female cryptographer, and she gets drawn into an FBI investigation, which the male main character is an FBI agent, and they draw her in because they're searching for a spy through some coded letters. So she gets drawn in order to decode these letters so that they can find this spy who is passing American military information to Japan. And yeah, it was a really interesting story. I quite liked the case and the way they followed it. I liked the characters. I gave it 4 stars. I thought both characters had an interesting journey. I thought the spiritual elements were very nice. Like, they were very open about their faith, and they talked about it, which I really appreciated. And yeah, I gave it 4 stars. I just really enjoyed it. And so that is all of the books that I read in December, all 8 books. I'd love to know what you guys read, and I will see you in the next video.